I was so taken aback that I had to rub my eyes. There, where he wasn't supposed to be, was my husband. Why? Why are you here? I stammered. My husband was supposed to be on a business trip to New York, yet here he was in Los Angeles in a hospital of a neighboring city. The shock didn't stop there. Next to my husband was a woman and a child snuggled up close. The mother and child were smiling gently at my husband, and he, in return, was smiling warmly at them. Anyone who didn't know better would think this was a snapshot of a happy family, but I knew differently. What I was witnessing was an odd scene where my husband was with an unknown mother and child. I couldn't just stand by and let this pass. I slowly approached them and called out from behind. My name is Farah, 35 years old. After graduating from university, I started working at an advertising agency. I got married at 28, and it's been 7 years now. My daughter, Emily, who I gave birth to when I was 30, is almost 5 now. She's been growing up healthy and strong without any major illness. My husband, Jacob, is a corporate employee, but he's been increasingly busy for the past few years, frequently coming back late at night and going on business trips. For that reason, our daughter Emily has developed a slight aversion towards him. "Mommy, is Daddy coming home today?" My daughter asked me as I was preparing dinner. I paused from my cooking, looked at her, and replied, "He will come home, but he might be late as usual. Daddy seems to be busy with work." "Really? Then it's just you and me until bedtime?" she asked. "Yes, that's right," I answered. "Yay! Hey Mom, let's watch the anime we recorded together." "Okay, after we eat dinner and take a bath." My daughter's face lit up instantly and she went to spread a tablecloth in the living room. Seeing my daughter visibly happy about my husband's late return made me feel a bit complicated, but it couldn't be helped. It wasn't unreasonable that my daughter wasn't attached to him. My husband only came home to sleep. We used to go out as a family on our days off, but the last time we did that was more than a year ago. My husband's work was so busy that working on weekends was not unusual. On his days off, he would go out alone. He was home very rarely, and when he was, he just locked himself in his room to watch movies or browse the internet. Especially in the last year, he had no conversation with our daughter, and they didn't speak to each other even when they were face to face. I was always the one who had to mediate, which was quite stressful considering we are a family. Our daughter, Emily, is almost 5 now. If we keep going like this, I'm afraid she will really stop being attached to my husband. She used to love going out as a family and adored my husband. I want them to go back to how they used to be. Thinking of this, I decided to wait for my husband's return to try to change this situation. When I greeted him with a welcome home as he came in late at night, he made a clearly displeased face. Although I was a bit annoyed by his attitude, I decided to start a conversation anyway. "Hey Jacob, you haven't had a proper conversation with Emily for about a year, have you?" "Not really. I don't think so. There's nothing to talk about," he replied. "You are her father. I wish you would act like one. All of her friends go out as a family, and only our house doesn't even talk to their father. Don't you think that's sad?" "What's the point of saying that? I'm not playing around. I'm working," he said dismissively. "I understand that, but I think Emily is the one suffering if this continues," I said. My husband sighed in annoyance and slumped heavily on the sofa. When I sat down next to him, Jacob slowly loosened his tie and told me, "I'm sorry, but I'm really busy right now. I'm up for a promotion, and I want to focus on my work." "I can see your dedication to your job, but isn't family also important? I understand that working on weekends is tough, but maybe just one day," I suggested. "I don't want to be left behind by my coworkers. You understand, right? I'm working this hard for our family, don't you see?" he replied. "I understand that," I said, hesitating. I knew my husband was working hard, dedicating himself to his job for the sake of his promotion, but in his immersion in work, he seemed to have lost sight of our daughter and me. If things continued this way, it wasn't just his relationship with our daughter that was at stake, but our entire family bond might be at risk. Feeling anxious, I gathered my courage and decided to be frank about my feelings. "Jacob, please, I understand you're busy, but I want you to keep Emily's birthday free." "Ha, her birthday?" he asked. "Yes, it's the first Sunday of next month. Her birthday is actually on a Friday, but I also have work on weekdays. I want to take her somewhere on Sunday." "I don't know about next month's schedule yet," he said. "But at this point, there aren't any business trips scheduled, right?" Even if it's a work day, you can take one day off. Please, for Emily's sake, I pleaded. Despite my persistent pleas, my husband tersely said, "All right, I got it." I knew he was in a bad mood and had agreed reluctantly, but I was still relieved and happy. The next day, while having dinner, I felt a small glimmer of hope. I asked Emily, "Hey Emily, your birthday is coming up, isn't it? Is there something you want?" "Wow, really? I want an ice cream maker," she exclaimed. "An ice cream maker, huh? Well, let's go check it out together next time," I said. "Yes, yay, so happy," she replied, watching my daughter happily enjoying her hamburger. I thought this was a good moment. I put down my chopsticks, looked into her eyes, and said, "Emily, how about we go out with Daddy on your birthday?" "Huh? Daddy? Isn't he working?" she asked. "Daddy said he's going to take the day off for your birthday, so let's go somewhere you want to go, just the three of us." "Really? I want to go to the amusement park." "All right then, let's go to the amusement park. You can choose anywhere you like, as long as it's somewhere we can go, okay?" "Yay, Mommy, thank you." Throughout the meal, she was restless, repeatedly asking, "Is Daddy really coming too? Can the three of us really go?" It was adorable, and I couldn't help but smile. I thought she disliked her father, but it seemed she was indeed lonely deep down. She seemed much happier than I had imagined, particularly at the prospect of the three of us going out together. One day, with a weekend trip to the amusement park ahead, my husband, unusually home earlier than usual, awkwardly began, "Well, you see." I asked what was wrong, and after a moment of silence, he reluctantly spoke. "I have a business trip from Thursday to Sunday this week," my husband said. "What? What are you talking about? We promised to keep those days free for Emily's birthday, didn't we?" I replied, shocked. "What can I do? The person who was supposed to go suddenly couldn't, and I was the only one available as a replacement," he explained. "Even so, why didn't you refuse? Do you know how much Emily was looking forward to it?" I asked, my frustration growing. "What could I have done? It wasn't a situation where I could just refuse," he said, raising his voice in anger despite our daughter sleeping in the next room. I tried to calm him down, but he continued to yell, his face turning red. "You have it easy, working in a company where you can leave on time, but it's not like that for me. In a highly competitive environment, everything depends on how quickly you can get promoted. What's with all this talk about promotion? Sure, I understand work is important, but what about us? What about your family?" I asked, my voice trembling. "Supporting your husband is also a wife's duty. This is why I can't stand people working in cushy jobs," he retorted. "What?" I said, stunned. "At least can you come back early on Sunday?" I pleaded. "That's impossible. The business trip is in New York and it takes 5.5 hours one way by plane. In any case, I can't get out of the business trip starting from Thursday. You should go on your own," he said, dismissively. "Wait, Jacob," I called after him, but he ignored me and left the living room. Only my sigh echoed in the room as I struggled with how to explain to our daughter. On Thursday night, after my husband left for his business trip, I reluctantly decided to tell Emily the truth. "Hey, Mom, I was thinking about the amusement park," she said, her eyes full of excitement. "I want to go on Sunday." "I'm sorry, Emily, but actually, Daddy has a business trip from today until Sunday, so he has to work," I explained. "Really? So he won't be able to go?" she asked, her voice tinged with disappointment. "Yes, I'm sorry," I said softly. "So, would it be okay if it's just the two of us?" I suggested, trying to keep my tone upbeat. "Okay, then I'll go to the amusement park with just Mom," she said with a forced smile. The moment of silence that followed spoke volumes about her true feelings. She probably wanted to go as a family of three, but to prevent causing me distress, she pretended to be okay. Noticing this, I felt a wave of guilt that almost brought tears to my eyes. However, I managed to hold back my tears for the sake of my daughter, who was smiling in front of me. Even though I'm alone, I'm determined to make Emily enjoy herself on Sunday. Several days later, on the day of the amusement park visit, my daughter woke up early in the morning and started preparing to go out on her own. We left the house at 7 a.m. so that we could enter the park as soon as it opened. Emily seemed really excited and happy throughout our time at the amusement park, but on closer inspection, her face was slightly flushed. Worried, I stopped her. "Emily, wait a minute." "What is it, Mom?" she asked, looking up at me. I grabbed her arm and put my hand on her forehead. I felt a tremendous heat surge through me. Wait, Emily, you have a high fever. Why didn't you tell me? I exclaimed, worried. I'm not feverish. Come on, Mom, let's go ride the merry-go-round, Emily insisted, trying to brush it off. Emily, I think you have a very high fever. Shouldn't we go to the hospital together? I urged. No, I finally got to come here with you, Mom, she said weakly. Perhaps her body was really in pain as she collapsed on the spot. Why didn't I notice it until it got this bad? I thought, overwhelmed with guilt. Driven by guilt, I carried my daughter and hurriedly took her to the university hospital. I informed the reception that it was our first visit and rushed to pediatrics. Her temperature was over 40 degrees and she was immediately given an IV. We'll keep an eye on her here, so you should rest a little too, the nurse kindly advised, which slightly calmed my desperate heart. I decided to take a break on a bench in the rest area after going to the hospital store and buying some necessary items for my daughter. As I walked around the hospital, I heard a familiar voice. When I turned towards the voice, I couldn't believe my eyes. "Ha, Jacob. Why are you here?" I stammered in shock. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. My husband should have been on a business trip to New York. Despite this, why was he in Los Angeles, even in a hospital in the next city? But that wasn't the only surprise. Beside my husband was a woman and a child, seated as if leaning against him. "Mom, are we going shopping after the hospital visit, right?" Emily's voice brought me back. "Yes, we are. The three of us," I replied, trying to maintain composure despite my racing thoughts. "Yay, soon we can go out as a family of 4. I'm excited," Emily said cheerfully. "You're about to become a big sister, so you need to be responsible, okay?" The woman beside my husband said affectionately, her round stomach revealing her pregnancy. From what I overheard, it seemed the mother was pregnant with her second child. My husband was happily stroking her stomach, and the mother and child were smiling softly at him, with him returning the smile kindly. If a stranger saw them, they might think it's a scene of a happy family, but not for me. What I was seeing was a strange scene. My husband with a strange mother and child. I couldn't just stand by and let this slide. I clenched my fists, shaking with anger, and bit my lower lip. So, that's how it is. Working on holidays, business trips. In the end, they were all lies. I can't forgive him for continuously betraying me and Emily. I muttered to myself, feeling a surge of betrayal and hurt. I took steps towards them, stood behind them, and slowly opened my mouth. "So, the business trip is over already, huh?" I said sharply. At the sound of my voice, my husband turned around abruptly. His face was ashen, and he looked like he had seen a ghost. Desperately, he squeezed out words. "Vera, why are you here?" "Emily and I went to the amusement park, but she got a fever. She's getting an IV right now. More importantly, why are you here?" I demanded, my voice tinged with anger and confusion. "No, well, that is," he started, clearly flustered. "And who are these people?" I asked, turning my attention to the woman standing beside him. Upon hearing my question, the woman looked down, her face turning pale. "You miss," I continued, my voice steady but filled with intensity, "what were you doing just now? Today is the day of Mom's prenatal checkup. Even though Dad is busy with work, he always accompanies us to the hospital," the little girl piped up innocently. "That's nice. You must really love your mom and dad," I replied, trying to maintain composure. "Yeah, we're going to the amusement park together next time, right, Dad?" the little girl continued, unaware of the tension. My husband, startled, forced a strange smile on his face. Just then, the little girl said she was going to the restroom, providing me with the perfect opportunity to confront my husband. "Would you care to explain?" I asked, my voice cold and accusatory. "No, it's not like that. This is," he began, clearly struggling to find an explanation. "What's not like what? From what I heard, you're the father of both that girl and the baby in her mother's womb. Yet you kept telling me and Emily that you were working or on a business trip. Just how low can you stoop?" I interrupted, unable to contain my anger any longer. "Wait, let's calm down for a moment, okay? I wasn't planning to leave you or anything," he pleaded, his expression a mix of guilt and desperation. I grabbed the collar of his shirt and pulled his face close to mine, so close our noses almost touched. I stared at him coldly, my voice a harsh whisper. "Don't mess with me. How far will you go to betray Emily?" Are you really her father? Don't make me laugh, I seethed, my anger boiling over. After deeply hurting your own daughter, you dare to father another child with someone else. You're nothing but an irresponsible scumbag. No, it's not like that. Please forgive me, he pleaded, his voice strained with guilt. Forgive you? You have the audacity to ask for forgiveness? Neither Emily nor I will ever forgive you. When we get home, I want you to fill out the divorce papers. Get ready for it. All right. With a fierce shove, I pushed him away and stormed off. On the way home, with my now stable daughter, I stopped by the city office and picked up the divorce papers. Once we got home, I gently explained everything to my daughter in a way she could understand. She seemed to take in everything I said, and in the end, she said this. I'm glad it's not Mom who's leaving. What? I asked, surprised by her words. You always look so sad when you talk to Dad. As long as I'm with Mom, I'll be okay with anything. But Emily, I thought you loved Dad. I did love him, but I love Mom the most. I hate anyone who hurts my mom, Emily, she said firmly. My daughter's smiling face blurred through my tears. To hide my about-to-fall tears, I held my daughter tightly. Afterward, I divorced my husband. I made sure to claim alimony from him and the woman who was about to have his child. He desperately tried to negotiate for a lower amount, citing their child, but I firmly refused. There was no way I was going to lower the amount or let him take the lead. After all, they were the ones who did wrong. It soon became known that Jacob had been regularly taking time off work to visit the other woman. A coworker discovered this shortly after the divorce, causing his credibility to plummet. His career advancement came to a sudden halt, and he started receiving cold stares from his colleagues. Apparently, Jacob was having a child with another woman, even though he's got a family. You gross. Not only is he incompetent at work, he doesn't even have basic morals, one colleague remarked. Well, it would be a relief if he just quit already, another added. Despite the rumors and criticism, he somehow clung on to his job, presumably for the alimony and child support he owed me. I decided to sit back and see how long he could keep this up. On my end, I moved to an apartment near my workplace and started a new life with my daughter. My parents regularly visited us to keep her from feeling lonely. As a single mother, I'm aware that I might make my daughter feel sad in the future, but I'm determined to shower her with all the love I can to